Mukund finds his guru. After he had completed his high school education, he went to his father and told him of his plans to join a hermitage in Banaras, Sri Bharat Dharm Mahamandal. His father pleaded with him not to leave the family. Mukund replied, "Revered father, how can I tell my love for you? But even greater is my love for the Heavenly Father, who has given me the gift of a perfect father on earth. Let me go, that I, someday return with a more divine understanding." His father reluctantly agreed, and Mukund left for Banaras to join the Mahamandal ashram. But soon he discovered that the ashram was not like what he thought it would be. The other residents of the ashram did not seek God as intensely as he did and often criticized him for spending time in meditation. He found his consolation in seeing the silver amulet his mother had given him. But one day, when he opened the box containing the amulet, he saw that it had disappeared. He cried and cried to Divine Mother and prayed, "Merciful Mother of the universe, teach me thyself through visions, or through a guru sent by thee." When he could not cry any longer, he heard Divine Mother's reply, "Thy master cometh today." This made him very happy. Just then, a boy of the ashram called him and asked him to go with him to market. The two of them went through the market, and in one place Mukund saw a tall, old saint in ochre clothes. He started going forward, but soon he found that he could not move his feet. He turned back toward the saint, and he could move his feet again. Once again, he tried to move away from the saint, and he could not. As soon as he turned toward the saint, he could walk. Then and there, Mukund knew that it was his guru pulling him toward himself. He dropped his shopping bags and went running back to meet his guru, who embraced him and said, "Oh my own, you have come to me. How many years have I waited for you?" His guru's name was Swami Shri Yukteswar. He took Mukund with him to the house where he was then staying in Banaras. There he told Mukund that he will show him the road to God, but first Mukund must return home. Mukund said, "Sir, I am not returning home. But I will follow you anywhere." Then Sri Yukteswar told him sternly, "You will come to me in 4 weeks. I won't easily accept you as disciple. There must be complete surrender by obedience to my strict training." Mukund did not want to go back home because he felt that his brothers and sisters would laugh at him. When he did go to Serampore to his guru's house, it was exactly 1 month as his guru had predicted. Swami Shri Yukteswar asked him to go to college and study for a degree. Mukund was not at all interested in studying because he knew that such study did not lead one to God. Shri Yukteswar told him, "Someday you will go to the West. Its people will be more receptive to India's ancient wisdom if the strange Hindu teacher has a university degree." Mukund went back home and soon enrolled himself at the Scottish Church College, more to please his guru than to earn the respect of others. However, he always skipped his college classes and went instead to Serampore to his guru's place, where he received the peace and joy of God which he sought. He did his best to serve his guru and to learn all that the guru taught. Mukund's father was happy that Mukund had returned home and also that he had found his guru. He was also happy that Swami Shri Yukteswar was a great follower of his own guru, Lahiri Mahashay. Swami Shri Yukteswar was very strict with Mukund in training him. He demanded complete attention and obedience. One day, while Mukund was listening to his guru talk to his disciples, Shri Yukteswar could read Mukund's thoughts and scolded him, "You are not here." Mukund answered, "Guruji, I have not stirred. My eyelids have not moved. I can repeat each word you have uttered." Shri Yukteswar said, "Nevertheless you were not fully with me. Your objection forces me to remark that in your mental background you were creating 3 institutions. One was a sylvan retreat on a plain, another on a hilltop, still another by the ocean. Your architectural dreams will materialize later. Now is the time for study. This showed Mukund that his guru knew everything that went on in his mind, and also it taught him what real concentration of mind means. One morning, when Mukund was trying to meditate, his guru called him to the balcony and said, "Your heart's desire shall be fulfilled." Then he touched Mukund on the heart. As he did so, Mukund had the full vision of God in all creation and beyond, and Mukund entered a state called Samadhi, in which he felt tremendous joy and happiness of his being one with God himself. As he came out of this state, Sri Yukteswar told him that although he now knew how to know God, he should not neglect his work and his duties which were to be done in the world. During his summer holidays, Mukund would go to Puri and spend many weeks at his guru's ashram there. On one such occasion, Sri Yukteswar arranged a celebration and asked Mukund to lead the disciples in a procession through the city. It was summer and very hot. The disciples were all barefoot. So, Mukund said, "Guruji, how can I take the barefooted students over the fiery sands?" Sri Yukteswar replied, "I will tell you a secret. The Lord shall send an umbrella of clouds. You all shall walk in comfort." As soon as the group of disciples left the ashram for the beach, singing God's name, clouds filled the sky as if by magic. It even rained a little and cooled the sand. When they returned to the ashram, his guru thanked God and said to them, "You see how God feels for us. The Lord responds to all and works for all. Just as he sent rain at my plea, so he fulfills every sincere desire of the devotee." The years passed and Mukund completed his college studies. After he got his BA, his father told him that he must take a position which was available with the railway company. Mukund replied that he had different plans. When his father insisted, he said that he would ask his guru and then let his father know. Then he went to Serampore to seek his guru's advice. He told his guru, "Master, my father has been anxious for me to accept an executive position with the Bengal Nagpur Railway. But I have definitely refused it. Sir, will you not make me a monk of the Swami order?" His guru asked him whether or not he would not miss the companionship of a wife in his old age. Mukund was convinced about the path he wanted to follow. "Sir, you know that my desire in this life is only for the cosmic beloved." Sri Yukteswar was convinced. After having trained him all these years, he agreed to initiate Mukund into the ancient order of sannyas. On an auspicious day in July of 1915, Mukund went to Serampore to his guru's place. After a brief informal ceremony, Sri Yukteswar placed a cloth of ochre color around Mukund and asked him to choose a new name as a monk. Mukund replied, "Yoganand." From that day forward, Mukund was known as Swami Yoganand Giri. Swami Yoganand starts his life's mission. The ideal of balanced education for the development of body, mind, and soul had always been close to Swami Yoganand's heart. He saw that the system of education, especially the modern one, did not include the principles of right living, which led to happiness by bringing God into daily life. Therefore, in 1917, he founded the Yogoda Satsanga Society of India and established the Brahmachari Vidyalaya, a school for boys. In that school he included a program for teaching agricultural, industrial, commercial, and academic subjects. The school also provided training in yoga to develop the body and mental concentration as well as to experience the joy of the soul. He himself taught classes in yoga. He developed a system of exercises by which the children were able to recharge their bodies with cosmic energy at will. The school was very successful. The Maharaja of Kasim Bazar was so happy to see Swami Yoganand's achievements that he offered his summer palace at Ranchi to Swami Yoganand to enlarge the school and to make it available to a greater number of boys. His fame spread. 2 years later, Rabindranath Tagore invited Yoganand to visit his school at Shantiniketan. Happily, they discovered that they agreed with one another's educational ideals. At Ranchi, Swami Yoganand used to go to a small storeroom to meditate every afternoon. There, the school children were unable to disturb him. On one such afternoon, he suddenly beheld a vision, in which he saw a large number of people from foreign lands. He recognized them to be from America. He thought, America, surely these people are Americans. Then he told one of his students, I have news for you, the Lord is calling me to America. Soon after this vision, he went to Serampore to talk to his guru about the vision and to seek his permission to go to America. At that time, he also received an invitation to address a meeting of religious liberals in America. His guru agreed and said, all doors are open for you. It is now or never. All those who come to you with faith, seeking God, will be helped. As you look at them, the spiritual current coming from your eyes will enter their brains and change their material habits, making them more God-conscious. Everywhere you go, even in a wilderness, you will find friends. His father was 67 years old then. He did not want Yoganand to go to such far-off lands, thousands of miles away from home. He said, how can you go? Who will finance you? Yoganand replied, the Lord will surely finance me. Father, perhaps God will put it into your mind to help me. His father said, no, never. But the next day, his father called him and gave him a large amount of money and said, I will give you this money, not in my role as a father, but as a faithful disciple of Lahiri Mahasaya. Go then to that far western land, spread there the creedless teachings of Kriya Yoga. Though Yoganand had set his heart on going to America, and though everything he needed for the trip was obtained, he still hesitated because of some doubts. He prayed deeply one day to be blessed and to be assured that he would not lose himself in the fogs of modern utilitarianism. After hours of prayer, still no reply came. Then he heard a knock on the door. He got up and opened the door and found standing there a young saint wearing only a cloth around his waist. The saint said to him, Our Heavenly Father has heard your prayer. He commands me to tell young fellow the behests of your Guru and go to America. Fear not, you shall be protected. Swami Yoganand immediately recognized the saint to be none other than Mahavtar Babaji, the great Guru of Lahiri Mahasaya, who had met Sri Yuktaswarji and had promised to send him a chola. Yoganand fell at the feet of Babaji, who blessed him and promised to look after him and to guide him in his mission. In August of 1920, as he set sail on a ship called the City of Sparta, Swami Yoganand prayed to God that he would be his sole inspiration. Swami Yoganand in America. Late in September of 1920, the ship arrived at Boston on the northeastern coast of America. People stared at Swami Yoganand as he walked about the city. When someone ventured to ask him, Who are you? A fortune teller? He would smile and reply, No, I tell people how to mend their fortunes. On 6 October 1920, Yoganandaji spoke at the meeting of religious liberals to which he had been invited. Thousands of people from all over the world were spellbound as they listened to him. Many liked his speech so much that they invited him to speak in different parts of America. He remained there for 4 years, traveling to different cities and talking to large gatherings of people who were interested in religion. His message was that God is one, but is known by different names in different parts of the world. However, those who see God directly know that it is the same one God. He also taught techniques of meditation, which, when practiced faithfully, lead us to God quickly. As was predicated by his Guru Sri Yukteswar, he made friends everywhere he went. Many of the thousands who came to listen to him became his lifelong followers. He established meditation centers in different cities, where his followers would gather and practice what he had taught. He healed many people of incurable diseases and even changed the lives of criminals. One day, after a lecture, when Yoganandaji was walking along a street, 3 or 4 bandits surrounded him with guns in their hands and threatened him. He asked them, "What do you want?" "Money." "Take what I have." Saying so, he went into the state of Samadhi, in which he radiated only the love of God to those enemies who were threatening his life. The bandits spoke among themselves about the great love they were able to feel coming from him, and their hearts were changed. They said, "We beg your pardon. You have done something to us. We cannot rob you." They then lowered their guns and went away. Although he was very successful in spreading his message of love for God, he felt that he was not accomplishing the real mission of his visit to America. He had not yet met most of the souls, whose faces he had seen in the vision in the storeroom at Ranchi. He prayed deeply to God and asked him why he had brought him to America. Then, he had a vision, in which he understood that he had to go to the state of California on the west coast of America. In 1925, he arrived in the city of Los Angeles and began a series of lectures. At the same time, he started looking for a place to establish his main ashram. One day, while driving around the city with a few of his disciples, he saw a beautiful building on top of a hill called Mount Washington. He said to his followers that that building was theirs, for it was the one that God had shown him in a vision. He soon found out that the building was for sale, but he had no money to pay for it. Then one day, a lady, whose husband had been healed by Swami Yoganand, paid him a visit. In the conversation, she asked him if he was going to establish an ashram in Los Angeles. Swamiji replied that he had found a suitable place, but he lacked the funds to buy it. The lady then offered him a large amount of money as a way of showing her gratitude for the healing her husband had received by Yoganandaji's blessings. Her offering was not enough, so he continued to pray to God for help. The time to make the payment for the building was drawing near. After that date, the owner would no longer accept Yoganandaji's offer and could sell it to anyone who offered to pay more. On the eve of the payment due date, Yoganandaji went to his room and felt inspired when the wind made him turn his face toward a telephone directory. Suddenly he remembered a student who he felt could be of help to him. He called her on the phone immediately. She answered, "Yes, Swamiji. I have unexpectedly received some money today. Will you accept it?" He replied, "I will indeed. Please be at the office of the seller by noon tomorrow, or else we may lose it." Next day, another buyer, offering more money, was waiting at the office of the seller. Swami Yoganandaji's friend arrived just in time with the money, and thus the building was purchased. There, atop Mount Washington, he established his international headquarters, where he would write his spiritual instructions to all of his followers around the world. There, he would also train sannyasis and sannyasinis, who would renounce all other interests to seek and serve God alone, and who would offer assistance through prayers, counsel and lessons to all who were in need of spiritual help. His new organization in America became known as Self-Realization Fellowship. The people of America became more and more interested in his teachings, which brought happiness and peace into their lives. He showed them how focusing on God through daily meditation can help anyone to become successful in attaining his or her goals. He showed that life is incomplete until one starts to meditate and seek God, the giver of all gifts. In the years that followed, thousands and thousands came to him for material, mental or spiritual help. They received his blessings without bound. Swami Yoganand's name spread throughout America and also in India. People heard about his work and how he was making India's rich spiritual heritage known throughout the world. Paramahansa Yoganand returned to India. One day, while meditating, Swami Yoganand heard his Guru's voice, "Return to India. I have waited for you patiently for 15 years. Soon I shall swim out of the body and on to the shining abode. Yoganand, come." At his Guru's call, he immediately boarded a ship to India. By then, he had spent more than 15 years away from India and from his beloved Guru, who was now over 80 years old. When Yogananda ji reached his Guru's ashram in 1935, he was given a hero's welcome. His Guru assured him of his unconditional love for him. Swami Sri Yukteswar was very pleased with his disciple's work in America. He bestowed on him the further monastic title of Paramahansa and said, "My task on earth is now finished, you must carry on. Please send someone to take charge of our ashram in Puri. I leave everything in your hands. You will be able to successfully sail the boat of your life and that of the organization to the divine shores." From then, he was called Paramahansa Yoganand. He spent nearly a year in India, during which he visited many holy shrines and met many saints from all over India. When he was away visiting the Kumbh Mela at Allahabad, his Guru Sri Yukteswar left his body at Puri. With a sad heart, Paramahansa Yoganand prepared to return to America to continue his work there. En route to America, he stayed at a hotel in Bombay. There Swami Sri Yukteswar suddenly appeared before him, though he was physically dead. Yogananda ji was overjoyed and asked, "Is it you, Master, the same Lion of God? Are you wearing a body like the one I buried beneath the cruel Puri sands?" Sri Yukteswar assured him, "Yes, my child. I am the same. This is a flesh and blood body, though I see it as ethereal. To your sight it is physical." Then Swami Sri Yukteswar explained to Yogananda ji all that happens to a person when he dies. He explained to him about the different worlds which exist beyond this physical world we see. He also assured Yogananda ji that although he was no longer alive from the point of view of the physical world, he was very much alive and that he would always guide, protect and love all of his disciples. With this blessing, Paramahansa Yoganand happily left for America. When he reached California by the end of 1936, his beloved disciple, Rajsi Jankanand, had a wonderful gift waiting for him, a new ashram facing the sea in a place called Encinitas. He liked the new ashram very much and spent much of his time there. In his new hermitage, he wrote a new interpretation of the teachings of Christ. He showed that, in essence, the Bible teaches the same yoga method of living as taught by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. One day, while doing this work, Jesus Christ appeared to him from a mass of light. Christ blessed him and was pleased to see that Paramahansa Yoganand had correctly understood his teachings. It was also in this beautiful new ashram at Encinitas that Yogananda ji wrote the now world-famous book entitled The Autobiography of a Yogi. Most people have come to know about him and his divine work through this sacred book. He passed the years by lecturing and writing books. 1948 was a blessed year because he remained mostly in the state of Samadhi, in which he continually felt his oneness with God. Once, he entered into Samadhi for more than 12 hours. Many of his closest disciples were present at that time. They saw him and heard him speaking to Divine Mother. They were also blessed to hear Divine Mother replying to him, using his own voice but in a different tone. After this experience, he started spending most of his time alone at a desert retreat and gave most of the responsibility of his organization to Sri Dayama. At the retreat, he undertook another important task, writing a new interpretation of the sacred Bhagavad Gita. When this task was completed, he was happy because he knew that his life's mission as desired by Mahavatar Babaji was completed. On 7th March 1952, Paramahansa Yoganand was invited to speak as the guest of honor at a banquet honoring the first Indian ambassador to America. A few hours before the banquet, he told Dayama, "You know, in just a few hours I will be gone from the earth." She was alarmed and asked, "But Guruji, how shall we carry on without you?" He replied, "Only love can take my place." At the banquet, he spoke lovingly of God and India. His last words were a poem he had written about India, where Ganges, woods, Himalayan caves, and men dream God, I am hallowed, my body touched that sod. With those words and with a beautiful smile on his face, he entered Mahasamadhi, a great yogi's final conscious exit from the body. He had always said that he would leave the world with boots on, and while speaking of the glory of God and of India. Though no longer in a physical body, Paramahansa Yoganand continues to live in the hearts of thousands of his devotees all over the world.